Hello friends, welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. Today's episode is Newby Tuesday. We're gonna finish up the app that we started to build last time, and I have a very special guest, Mr. Anthony Lamantina. He goes by Tony. Tony, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
That's Tony. He's on a remote call. He's not here in the room with me like Chad was last night. Are you all right, Tony?
Yeah.
Don't cough into the mic. I just muted him. I think he's alive. Jeez. Okay, well here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do a quick review of what we did last time. Tony, are you alive?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay, I'm gonna turn your volume back up. Okay, say hello, Tony, so the people know you're alive.
Hey, everybody. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, cool. Glad to know you're still alive. But basically, what we did last time was we built a scraper for Craigslist, and essentially you can pass in your location and then a search term, and it will give you back a JSON array of all of the search results for that specific location and search term. And the idea is Tony wants to build his own dashboard where he can put the search terms that he cares about, and then he'll see the latest search results on his dashboard, but then he can basically like ignore things and hide things that he doesn't care about, so he won't see those same posts again. And then he can also mark results as favorites. So I'll show what we have so far. I can start up the backend. And if you're watching live, please throw a question in the chat, say hello. So this starts up a node server on localhost 5000. And that's just hello world. However, if you do /search/Columbus/synth, this is going to give you all the posts in the Columbus area with the search term synth, and this is across all categories. And so we give you back the title, the price, and the images. I think one thing we forgot to do last time, Tony, was add the location.
Yeah, I think we were trying to get the location.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I think that was the only thing.
Okay, so I think plan for today is we will finish up scraping to get the location of these items as well, and then we'll start to work on a front end for this thing. Sound good to you?
Sounds great.
Cool. For those of you who don't know Tony, let me find him. Is it A. Lamantina? That's you?
Yeah, there it is.
Cool. So this is Tony. He's in Columbus, Ohio. Oh, what's happening over here? Let me disable this other camera. Sorry. Tony, I want to give a quick intro of yourself. Who you are, where you're from, what is your background in coding?
So my name's Tony. I am a aspiring web developer. I've been coding for learning to code for about 2 years now. But my background's originally in graphic design. But right now I'm working in medical field and just trying to do as much as I can, kind of staying interested with like personal projects and whatnot, trying to do web development stuff. I should be possibly in the fall starting some computer science classes over at OSU.
Okay. And I'll throw this link in the chat, but actually, oh no, I didn't put it on Coding Garden. I put it on my personal account. But this is the code from last time. I'll share that out, and I'll be pushing up the code as we write it today. So if you want to take a look at what we did last time as well. All right. So let's go ahead and bring up the page that we're scraping. I think it's like columbus.craigslist.org, and then we search everything for synth.
Yeah, so we were in the no, we weren't searching everything. We were in the music instruments section.
I think we searched just for sale for synth though.
Yeah.
Tony, you got a lot of background noise going on. Is there anything you can do about that?
How is it now?
There's still like random noises. People watching at home, I hope it's bearable. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the idea. Right now we're scraping this page, but we also want to grab this because that's going to be the location, right? And we can take a look at our existing server scraping code. Actually, is there any way you can do like push to talk, Tony?
Yeah, let me hold on.
Like mute your microphone, and then whenever you want to talk, unmute yourself.
Okay, let me try that. So I'm talking now, and
Cool. Okay. Keep yourself muted. I will remind you if I can't hear you when it's your turn to talk. Um, okay. So basically, last time we created this function here that passes in the HTML of the Craigslist page and then pulls out the things that we care about. So all of the search results have this specific class. So we're pulling those out and then we're iterating over them and grabbing the title of each post, the price of each post. We're doing some special stuff here to grab all of the images for each post. And now we want to do something similar to grab the location. So in looking at the page, if I open the DevTools, we can take a look at that and figure out how to select it. So, Tony, if you remember last time, we used the result price class to select the price. If you're looking at the DevTools here, what might we use to select the location?
I guess that class result hood.
Yeah.
One you're highlight on.
Yeah, so I think they use the word hood, like the hood, like the place.
The neighborhood.
Yeah, the neighborhood, exactly. So yeah, we can basically do that very same thing to pull out the hood. So let's do that. So right about here, Mr. Tony, you can control my screen and create a variable called, let's call it hood, because that's what they call it. And you are muted, Tony, in case you want to say anything. And then set this equal to the selector for result-hood. So it's going to be very similar to what we did up there for price. No? What?
Okay, so for price, are we doing the same exact format with the find?
Well, yeah, and actually we can kind of copy what we did for title. I'm not exactly sure if we're going to need to do the same thing for price. So if you do a similar thing as like we did for title, except use the result hood class instead.
Okay, all right. So result dot hood.
Well, no, it's going to be very similar to that.
Okay, fine. Okay.
Yeah. He's a noob. He's learning. That's fine though. You just type hood again. Yes.
No, there's a little bit of a delay.
Okay. So yeah, we want to select the element that has the class result hood and then just grab its text. Yes, and then I'll help you out real quick. Like basically we can do that. We shouldn't have to wrap it in another like Cheerio selector. And hopefully that does it. So now in the result we want to add the hood there. And let's see what it does. So I'm gonna kill this and then do npm run dev because this starts an auto refreshing node server. And then let's try again. So if we do this, searching for synth, we now have the hood. Cool. Yeah, Emmy is mentioning in the chat, it is very good for us other noobs. Thank you, Tony. So thank you, Tony, for being a noob, asking dumb questions, doing the wrong thing, because you're helping everyone else out there in the world.
I'm doing it for all of you.
Cool. And you'll notice like it works for some of them, but some of them actually don't have a hood listed, so it's just totally empty.
Yeah, same thing for price. So I think we need to have like some sort of almost I don't know if like an case switch or else statement, basically saying like if we don't have any value for the hood or the price, like to just basically not display anything until we get the front end part.
Right. Yeah, and so like when we build the front end, we'll say like if there is no price, like maybe we show it, or if there is a price, maybe we show it highlighted. If there is no price, we show a special icon or something like that. And George, welcome to the chat. And it's noobs time. Yes, every Tuesday. Well, I guess we didn't do it last Tuesday because Tony, I think you're at like orientation or something, right?
Yeah, I started my new job.
Cool. All right, so before we move on though, let's clean this up a little bit because notice that the hood has some space around it, and also we could probably get rid of these parentheses. So how might we do that? Do you know of any ways in JavaScript how we might get rid of this stuff?
Well, I know we can parse through that, and we can basically say if there's any characters that we don't want, like the way you might parse through like a phone number, you get rid of like dashes.
Yeah, we could go like one at a time. You know of any other way to do it?
Um, just through JavaScript methods.
Yeah, do you know any built-in methods? Actually, I think we might have used one. Let's look at our code. I guess we didn't. But I'll help you out, Tony. There's this thing. Actually, I want to use a regular expression, but first I'll show you there's this thing called trim. And essentially, it will take the white space off of both ends of a string. So, for instance, if you have a string like this and you trim it, you get back the string without the space on the ends. So we,
Oh, that's really nice.
yeah, it's built in, so we could do that. So just to show an example of that. So like if we zoom a little bit, if we took that string and we said .trim, that actually just gives us back the string with no spaces on it. Very cool. Are you familiar with any way to replace a character in a string in JavaScript?
Yeah, I've done it before. Whenever I was doing like little palindrome exercises, but it's been a little while.
Do you remember how? Or what we should search for?
Um, let's see. So replace character in JavaScript.
Let's search it. We'll go to Google.
Yeah, that's what I would be Googling.
JavaScript replace character.
Stack Overflow. Here we go.
Let's go to MDN, the string replace method. So there's another built-in, and if we look at some examples, basically these initial examples are always so convoluted. I hate it.
Right, and this is like one of the, whenever I would try to do these things, like I didn't really understand what I was doing. Like if you were to replace characters like all caps with lowercase characters, it's always confusing, the syntax.
So and it's showing like a regular expression. Here, I'll give you the CJ version of this. Basically, we can say like, do I still have that pasted? Yeah. So let's say now we have that string. You can say dot replace, and the first parameter is a string of, oh god, something happened. Oh, sorry. I'll have to type that again. So you can do dot replace. The first parameter is the thing you want to replace. So what is something we want to replace in this string?
The brackets, or the whatchamacallit, the parentheses.
Yeah. And what do we want to replace them with?
Nothing. We want to trim
Nothing.
that.
So it's as simple as that. So you basically say inside of this replace any parenthesis with nothing, and that should give us that. Cool. And then you can kind of like chain it, so we can do another replace that says replace the other one with an empty string as well. And then that gives us that. And then we can put it all together. So if we had like spaces at the beginning, we could say take that, trim it, and then replace it, and then replace it, and you get a nice little hood. Are you amazed, Tony?
Yeah, it just looks kind of, I don't know, it bothers me. It offends me greatly. There's got to be like a cleaner way of doing that.
Well, I wanna show it how to do it with like a regular expression, but regular expressions are like a whole nother topic. But if we just add this to the code real quick, it should fix it. So if you say like take the text, trim it, replace those thingies, let's see what we get. So now if we make the same request, now our hoods look good. Now they're clean.
Cleaning up the hood.
Is there a Dublin near you in Columbus?
Yeah, there's a Dublin, there's a London, there's a bunch of weird towns.
Well, not weird. I would say European or.
Yeah, I guess those Europeans naming the same thing.
Cool. All right. Yeah, let me show you how to do that with a regular expression. So, and regular expressions, I could do a whole episode on regular expressions. But let's say I have the string that with some spaces in front of it, and then Columbus, and essentially I want to match it against a regular expression. So in JavaScript, a regular expression is in between two forward slashes. And George is saying it's late there, gotta go to bed early. Sorry, George, you can't keep tuning in, but you can always watch it later. And pretty soon, I'm gonna send out a poll for all of my subscribers. You can tell me what time zone you're in, when's the best time you can watch live, and I'll try to like work with everyone out there's schedule. Okay, so your regular expression is in between the two slashes, and the thing we're looking for is the word that is surrounded by parentheses. And the way we'd express that with regular expression would say, okay, start with the parenthesis, end with the parenthesis, and then anything inside of that. But parentheses are special in regular expression, so I need to escape them like that. So basically this says, let's take a quick break.
It looks like you're like starting to make like text art.
Like the shrug guy or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, I don't know. Or even that like funny smiley face. It's like, like not a good opportunity to smile. I don't know what it's called. Lenny face, I think.
Yeah. So let's see what happens if I do that. So that found the matcher. But actually, so here's what I want to do. I want to say like anything in between that. Let's see what this will do. Yeah. So notice how now that I do this, it basically plucked out the word Columbus, and match will give you back an array. So if I say match the thing inside the parentheses and then give me the first value and the results, we get back just Columbus.
So does it still view Columbus as a string?
Yes, because like this is an input string, and then anything returned from match will give you an input string. I would say check out, I think it's called regex pal. Is this the one? Yeah, so this one will let you write like the string you're testing for, and then practice writing your regular expression up top. It'll actually show you what gets matched. And then also check out like the regular expression cheat sheet. But regular expressions themselves are like a language inside of a language. But this, I would dare to say, this is actually a little bit more efficient than doing this. And I'll hold on to this. So people can see that also. But we're just gonna do that. See if it works. Did it break? It broke. Cannot read property 1 of null. Oh, okay. So because what if there is no hood, then you get back null.
Okay.
Right? Because if we try to match against the empty string, it just gives us back nothing. So we got to check for that. Okay. So really what we can do is say like first let's store the hood, and then we'll say if there actually was a hood, like if there was a value in it, then we'll say hood is this thingy. So hood is hood.match.
So just by saying if hood exist, I guess, like just by invoking it that way.
Yeah, so in JavaScript this is known as truthy. So essentially like normally when you see an if statement you might think like so to make this like an actual boolean, we could say if hood not equal undefined. And basically what this is saying is if hood is not undefined, run the code inside of here. But in JavaScript, there's this idea of truthy and falsy. And so if hood has a value, meaning even if it is the value like with parentheses inside of it, it's going to be truthy, meaning this if statement will run.
Is that essentially making hood into a promise?
No, it's still just a variable that holds a value, and it holds a value right now. That's why it's different from a promise, because a promise is like some value in the future, like a network request, but this has a value because we got the value and now we're just using it on the next line.
Okay.
But yeah, so something to look into is JavaScript, truthy, and falsy. The idea is anything that is not 0, undefined, null, or false is truthy. And then 0, undefined, null, false, those are all falsy values. Meaning if it's one of those things in an if statement, it's actually false. Okay, let's see what happens. Try again. And it worked. Cool.
So could we do that same concept with the price?
We're probably going to do that on the front end, because right now the way the price is working is we're just saying find the price section and grab its text, but already if there was no text there, it's just an empty string. So when we're sending it back, that's what we're sending back there. For the things that don't have a price, like let's find one like this, it's still just the empty string. Where that will come into play is like on the front end when we decide to show the price or not. Cool.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right, so I think that's it for the back end. Let's go ahead and like work on the front end. I'm gonna go ahead and commit this. We'll say add hood to JSON result. Whoa! Something happened.
We're getting your resume.
Yeah, that's weird. Okay. I have committed it. Well, I have staged it.
Yeah, wasn't that something you said that before? Like when people start making their first commits, they commit like their whole computer to a repository.
I've had students that have done that. Like they did a git init in their home directory and then tried to push the whole thing up to GitHub. Luckily, it's a lot of files and takes a really long time, so you can just stop the process. But yeah, that's a thing. I've had multiple students do that. I just took off my brace, so I have a little more freedom of movement in my hand.
What happened to your hand?
I broke it skateboarding. Actually, did you ever see me with a cast on?
No.
I thought last time we coded together, I had the cast on. Now,
I didn't see it.
Now I have this removable cast. It's got like Velcro straps, which is pretty cool. Okay. What are we adding? Adding hood to JSON result. Cool. And I'll push that up. And then we can get started on the front end. So, Tony, would you be okay if we used Vue.js?
I will not object to Vue.js.
Okay. Here's my thought though. We're gonna do like super beginner Vue.js. We're not gonna like generate an app. We're gonna just use like a CDN like you would jQuery or something like that, and really just use some of the basic concepts of Vue.
I should have figured that if I was coding with you, we'd do Vue.js.
Because like I've done some videos recently, and like we've been using vanilla JavaScript, but just like every time I'm just like, why don't we just use Vue? Why don't we use?
Yeah, everything's moving towards those front end frameworks anyway.
Yeah, and I always tell my students it is good to know the vanilla JavaScript stuff before moving into a front end framework because it's doing all of that under the hood. It's just hidden from you. How okay are you with doing Vue instead of vanilla?
You're gonna have to like talk me a little bit through it. Like I understand the idea of components, but mostly more so like with React than with Vue.
I see. It's very similar in Vue. Let's just use Vue because it's gonna be fun, and we'll build it in a way that we haven't done on my stream before, which is like from a CDN and like very noob friendly. And George just asked a question in the chat. Can you explain the GitHub upload process, please? Absolutely. So what I just did there, you'll notice the commands I ran was, well, this is actually git add that. So that says essentially any files that have changed locally on my machine, I want to stage those to be ready to commit them to my local repo. I'll try to expand these words. So that stages them locally. And then when I did GCM, that's git commit with a message, and then I put some message in there. And essentially what that does is it bundles all of those changes and makes it a commit locally on my machine. So in here, if I do git log, you can see that commit that I just made, add hood to JSON result. And you can think of a commit as like a collection of changes. So in that one commit, we added those few lines of code that added the hood. That's what that commit holds. The previous commit was like everything else because I hadn't done any commits before that. So the previous commit was like create these files with their contents, and that gets stored in this commit. And so then after I committed it locally, I did my shortcut is git push, but this is actually like git push origin master. And this is what takes my commit locally and pushes that up to GitHub. And origin there is my remote. I should just do a whole episode on Git, but if I do git remote-v, you can see what my origins are, and in this case, I have a remote origin that's on GitHub. So essentially when I said push, it was taking my latest commit and pushing that commit up to GitHub. And if we look at it on GitHub, you'll notice like I haven't refreshed the page, so right now there's only one commit. But if I refresh the page, you'll see that there are two commits, and that is the changes that I just pushed up to GitHub. Yeah, and so you'll see the things that change. Like we added those few lines, which add the hood, and then like remove some white space in certain areas. But if you click on commits on GitHub, you can see all the changes that were made. Like if I look at my initial commit, it's literally creating all of these files. So the files are going from not existing to having all of their contents. And you can think of commits as like checkpoints. They're like a save point, and you can actually revert back to any save point in time. Like I could revert back to my initial commit and then go back to this later if I wanted to. It's really handy. I will definitely do an episode on just Git in general, because I could have some like visual animations and stuff like that. And George is asking about the connection with the repository. That has to do with my remote. So the fact that I have this local remote called origin set to this URL, and if you're on a GitHub repo, you can click clone or download, and like this is the URL of the remote. And let's actually say that didn't exist. I think I can do like git remote remove origin. Yeah, so now it's gone. So now locally I have no remotes. Like if I tried to push somewhere, I wouldn't be pushing anywhere. And your remote are essentially like your coordinates. So if I say git remote add that thingy and then call it origin, it's git remote add origin and then the URL. And so basically I'm setting the coordinates locally on my machine. I'm basically saying when I say git push origin master, push this code up to that URL, which is on GitHub. So now if I do git remote -v, I now have that origin URL, and that's where I can push to. Tony, do you have questions about what I just explained?
No, I have my GitHub and stuff linked to it, so like I was able to git clone the repository into my own machine.
Okay, yeah, and that's
anyway.
I noticed you also forked it. So one thing you can do on GitHub is if you click fork, that will make like an exact copy of this repo on your account, and then you can clone that down and start working on that. So Emmy, are you hearing a buzzing sound when just I am talking, or when Tony is talking also? And actually, let me double check.
Yeah, I hear it buzzing when you talk.
Oh no. Okay, give me just a second. Tony, I'm gonna mute you for a second. That is a horrible buzzing sound. Just give me a second. I think I'm gonna restart my streaming software. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Actually, no, I just checked on the live stream. It is buzzing like crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, man.
Alright, give me a second.
Yeah, it sounded like a whole transformer, like vocal effect or something. I thought it was just me and then somebody in chat. Like, I'm watching the chat, too.
Okay. Let me do this. Yes. Checking the microphone. Check. Oh, you know what?
What's up?
Okay. Let me just double check. I think it actually could be your voice, Tony.
Like my voice in general? Should I lower my microphone volume?
Just a second. Oh, you know what? Okay. Okay. Amy says it sounds fine now. Please let us know if it doesn't. I don't want to do a whole live stream where there's a bunch of buzzing, so. Cool. You there, Tony?
Yeah, I'm here.
Cool. Yeah. Think the buzzing's gone. Let us know if it comes back. Let's take a quick break, and then we're going to build a front end. Yeah, and so I was mentioning just a second ago, though, you can click fork, that'll create a complete copy on your machine, and then you can clone down that URL and then just make changes to the repo, and then it has no effect on mine. And that's actually what Tony did. He, I believe, forked it, and you were trying to work on a front end of your own, didn't get very far.
Yeah, I was having trouble kind of like linking it to an index.html file.
Okay, so let's do this. I think we're ready to go. All right, Tony, please create a folder called client. Oh yeah, and George is mentioning in the chat, yeah, when you create a repo initially, if you create it with a README file on GitHub, you have to actually pull those changes down. Yeah, so Tony just created a client folder and then CD'd into that folder. Let's go back to Adam. Let's close this other stuff. I'm just going to create an index.html file in the client. Like so. And then let's add some scripts. So we can actually use this thing called unpackage, which allows us to use, oh, that'll actually work. Allows us to use packages from NPM, but just as like CDNs, like you would normally bring in like a jQuery URL or something like that. So just by doing this and putting that there, that is actually bringing in Vue.js version 2, and we can use it on this page. What do you think about that, Tony?
That is way easier than doing React.
Cool. So let's do this. Like right inside the body, create a div and give it an ID of app. Cool. Now let's do this. Right below line 11, we're going to add another script file. And I have a snippet. If you do script src tab, yep, and then let's just call this app.js. Actually, let's call this client.js, just so we don't confuse it with the backend code. And yeah, I mean, I think one of the main concepts here is we're creating basically almost two separate servers. Like we're going to have our backend server, which is doing the scraping, and then we'll have our front end server, which is just serving up static files and then making requests to the backend to get the scraped data. Sound good, Tony?
Sounds great.
Cool. I'm going to plug in my computer just real quick. All right, so let's do this. I will create a file in client called client.js. And the first thing we need to do is create a Vue app. So let's just say const app equals, say, new space capital Vue, and then invoke it and pass in an object. And do a new line, and inside of this object, give it a property el. El, like element, yeah. And then the value of this property, so just do colon, no equal sign, so el colon, and it's going to be a string with pound app. So basically what we're saying is our Vue.js app, app. So, but you still do want to have that. Basically what we're saying is our Vue app is going to live on the element with ID app. That's what that line of code is saying. Cool. And a Vue app also has data associated with it. So let's look at our README real quick to see what we're going to be doing. So one of the first things we want to do is add search terms, and basically like favorite search terms, right? So my thought is we have basically like a list of all of the search terms that you like, and then below that are going to be all of the results, including those search terms. So like the first functionality of the app is to be able to add the search terms that you want, and then we'll get the results after that. So here's my thought. And in a Vue app, you have this thing called data, and essentially all of the data for your app lives inside of this object. And this is synonymous with state if you've ever used React. And essentially, all of our data goes in here, and any changes to the data will happen in here. And then we'll have a way to represent that in the view itself. So here's what I'm thinking. Like for this app that we're building, we're going to need some data called like tags. And then tags are just an array where eventually we can put things in there like synth and moog and trampoline and all the things we want to buy on Craigslist. You're still there, Tony?
I'm here.
Hello. So is this making sense? Like essentially, that's where our tags are going to go, right?
Yeah, and I guess like after it appears, you have like we were talking about like the option to like maybe have click on it and there's like a star next to that and you favorite that tag and you click like an X or whatever and it grays out and
Right.
it won't show those results.
Definitely. So the idea though is we'll start off with this empty array of tags, and then we're going to build out a form where like when we click add, it'll push that tag into this array. So let's do that. Have you ever used Bootstrap?
I have.
Do you want to use Bootstrap?
Yeah, we can use Bootstrap.
Let's use it. Have you ever used Bootswatch? So basically, this is
I don't
Bootstrap.
think so.
Bootstrap, but with just some basic theming on it. So pick a theme, Tony. Start at the top. Tell me when to stop.
Let's do Litera. That looks pretentious.
This one?
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Cool. Let's preview it. Let's grab CSS. And basically, you add this to the page just like you would Bootstrap, but it has the Litera styles instead of the Bootstrap styles.
Yeah, so I used to have the problem of linking my CSS file before I was linking the libraries, and like it wouldn't display it. I was like, "What's happening?"
Right, you got to add it afterwards if you want those things to be applied.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so first thing we need to do is make like a little form in here. So let's do that. We can look at the Bootstrap docs to see. Well, not that. We can look at them to see how they do a form. Let's look at components, forms. And we want like a super basic form with just like one input. That is like tag name, and then we'll click add, and it'll add the tag to the array. However, I do have a snippet, so just do this, Tony. Type form G. So we're going to create a form group. All one word. Oh, wait, did I disable it? Maybe I disabled it. Okay, let me enable it real quick. Or did I uninstall it? Yeah, let's enable that. Make sure it's working. What? What? Let me close Atom real quick, reopen it. Okay, we were in here. We want to be able to do form grr. There they are. Okay, so Tony, type form grr and press tab. Cool. So this gives us a basic form group, and the first label we want this to be for, let's call this tag, and then the text inside of that label will just be tag also. Should we call these tags or keywords? What do you want to call these?
Search term?
Sure, yeah. Let's call it term then. Yeah, term. And then, yeah, there will be term. This is going to be a label in the form. And then on the input, change the ID to be term. And then you can make the placeholder say enter a search term. Okay. Now, this form group we created had some like extra stuff. We really only need one input area, and then we'll create a nice little button down there to say add search term. And we want this to be type of submit so that it'll actually submit the form. And then let's see what we get. So in the client folder, we can use light server. This is an auto refreshing. Well, actually, we need to make sure that the backend is started up too. So in one terminal window, we're going to go into the server folder and then start up the backend. So the backend is going to be running on port 5000. And then in this terminal window, we're going to run in the client folder another server, and this is our like front end server. So we're going to have two servers running. Cool. And this is what we got so far. Nice little form. We can enter a search term like synth. Click add, and then it should show the results for synth below there. Let's clean this up a little bit. So like, let's make this a section. No, let's call this main and give it a class of container. That's a Bootstrap thing to give it a little bit of breathing room on the sides. So when we do that, yeah, it pushes in a little bit. And let's also add a navbar at the top. So
Is Bootstrap divided into like 9 or 12 columns?
12 columns.
Okay.
Which navbar do you want to use?
Let's use that first one.
The blue one?
Why not? Yeah.
Cool. So we can just grab this code. We'll throw that right above our main. And really, we're going to get rid of everything because we really just did that so we could get all the classes that we need. Like that. So like all this navbar classes, we'll add the navbar at the top. What do we call this thing? Craigslist Pro? What do you want to call it?
Yeah, Craigslist Pro.
Cool. And there we go. It's looking pretty professional, Tony. All right, so let's handle this. So like when they enter in a search term, we're gonna like add that to the array of terms, okay? And then we'll show like the terms below it. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay.
I didn't realize that we have like the same Craigslist color scheme, so it already looks like Craigslist.
Do we? Like what is Craig? What did? Are they bluish?
I think it was like that, like kind of just blue, white.
Well, this is like the classic like HTML styling of,
Right.
of blue.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like so we're already on
we're
our
like,
way to
yeah, we're like modern.
Craigslist Deluxe.
Yeah. Cool. We can charge a monthly fee. Cool. So here's what we need. We want to listen for when the submit of this form happens so that we can actually grab the contents. And actually, let me show you one thing in Vue. So on this input box, type v-model. So we're going to add another attribute to this thing. So do a space v-model equals term. And what we're saying here is as the user types into this input box, we want to store that value in the JavaScript on this thing called term. And then let's say like right below the form, create like an H2. And inside of there, we're going to use handlebars. So do double curly braces and put the word term inside of it. So basically what we're saying here is as the user types into the input box, it should be saved on this value called term. And right here we're saying display whatever the current value of term is inside of this H2. So what we should see is like as we type, we're going to actually see what the user is typing below the form. But to really make this work, we need to put term on our data. So basically, we need to say like what is the initial value of term. So on data, let's create a property called term, and we should initialize it as the empty value, empty string. Let's take a quick stretch. Empty string, not an empty array. Just a second, let me get rid of my timer there. Cool. Yeah, make that an empty string. And actually, I'm going to make these single quotes. Doesn't matter which one you use, but I do prefer single quotes. Cool. So basically we're saying our Vue app has this underlying value called term that is nothing. And then in the HTML, we're saying as we type into the input, store the value on there. And then as that value changes, show it on the H2. Why is that not working?
I think we have to get rid of the placeholder for in the H2.
Well, this is not being displayed. Oh, you know what? Unexpected identifier on line 3 of ClientJS. Oh, we're missing a comma. So Daniel in the chat is asking if we're going to use Axios. My thought is we're just going to use fetch, which is built into the browser. It works in a very similar way to Axios. It takes a little bit more work, but it is built in. We don't have to bring in a separate library. Okay. Oh yeah, now it's working. Now, Tony, I'll give you the honors. Start typing into that input box and see what happens. Wow, right? So as you type, we're like actually updating the value under the hood, which is pretty awesome. I guess the other thing is there are these Vue devtools that I have installed. And so we can actually see what the term is. And I believe if you type there, yeah, we can actually see under the hood what the value of term is. Okay, next thing. When the add button is clicked, so I'm just going to get rid of that H2. That was just to demonstrate like what's happening there. But when we click the add button, we want to take this term and then push it into an array of terms. So on the form, say @submit. Submit, like submitting a form. Oh, I just meant, oh god, sorry Tony. Yeah, I just meant @submit, like that. Say equals. I think it's the delay too that's like making it mess up. So @submit equals, and we're gonna set this equal to a method that we're gonna write. So just say equals sign, and then in double quotes say, let's call this add term. Yeah, camel case it, all one word. Cool. One thing we will do though is we'll say, I'll do it, submit dot prevent, and this will prevent the default action when the form is submitted. But now we need this function called add term inside of our Vue app. So on here, create a property called methods. And its value is an object. Then do a new line. And on that object, we're going to create this function called add term. So just say add term. And like a shorthand you can do is, yeah, so do add term and then parentheses. And then give this a function body. So after the parentheses, give it some curly braces. And right here, let's just do a console.log of this.term. Yes, so what should happen is when we click that submit button, it should just log to the console whatever they typed into the input box. Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay.
I feel kind of weird because I'm still like I'm trying to do like the turn off my mic thing.
Yeah. Actually, I think you can leave it on. I think it's only like whenever you're talking, there's a little bit of background noise, but I think it should be okay for now. Okay,
so just let me know and I'll switch back to the turn on the mic method because it's like I keep talking like while I'm typing.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, no one can hear me.
Definitely. Okay, so when they click the button, we should log out the term. Let's see if it works. So refresh the page, try typing in a search. Well, actually, let's click on console. So try typing in a search term and then click add to see if it gets logged.
All right, so I'm gonna type in Moog. Nothing.
Wait, where's your mouse? Try clicking it.
I just typed it in.
Well, type add. Click add. You have to click add.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah, because when you click the button, that actually calls the function, and then it gets logged to the console. So.
Okay, so it's telling us it added it to that specific line in the code.
It's telling us that it logged on line 9 of ClientJS. Now what we want to do is instead of just logging it, we want to actually push it into this array. And actually, we can change this array to be like turn. Oh, geez. we'll call the array terms, and now instead of just logging it, we want to take this value and push it into the array of terms. So, Tony, any guesses as to how we might do that?
Could do a push or an append?
We can do a push, yep. But how do you think we're going to access the terms array?
Terms. Are we gonna have to call the data?
Well, notice how we're doing it on line 9.
Console. So we're saying this dot term.
Right, so if we wanted to do terms, it's going to be very similar.
Yeah, but how would we... So we're calling outside of this particular methods function.
Well, the idea with Vue.js is inside of this function, this is equal to the Vue instance itself. So when we say this.term, we're actually referencing that.
Okay, so would we just do this dot terms?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let's try it. So let's do this.terms, and then we want to push the term into that array.
Dot terms, and then just say dot push.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing the term.
But you still want to do this.term.
Okay. So this dot term.
That should do it. And so now let's actually show these terms on the page. I think in Bootstrap, are there like I want like little chips, little badges. I think that's it. Maybe not badges.
Isn't that it right there? Like the
Like these?
Yeah.
I think so. So essentially, what I want to be able to do is like show each of the terms as a little thing like that underneath.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Like, there's like a little
Great.
colored box.
Great. We're on the same page. Do you want to do like these square boxes or the more rounded ones?
We'll do the round ones.
And which color?
We'll stay with the blue vibe.
All right, everything's blue. Always blue. Always blue. Okay. So here's what we want to do. Like right below the form, we want to show. And actually, let's put this like in a section. So we want to have that little thingy there. And let's give it some breathing room. So in Bootstrap, there is the margin top class. We can do like margin top 3, and that'll like push it down a little bit. And actually, Tony, I don't like that the add button is the same color as those. So let's make the add button like green.
Let's add the add button red.
Red? Okay, so button danger. Cool.
Oh yeah.
And so then like now as we add each term, we want to see each one as a little pill below it. Okay, so the way this works in Vue is essentially I want to take this thing and repeat it for every value inside of this array, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we will do this. So on the span, do v-4. And so essentially this is like a for loop, FOR.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No worries. And like this is Vue's way of saying like repeat this element. So say v4 equals and then do double quotes. And we'll say term in terms.
Campbell case?
No, just so term in terms like that.
Okay, so it's actually calling it.
And it's almost like think of it like almost like a for in loop. But basically we're saying for every value in this array, in terms corresponds to the data here. Can you mute your mic real quick, Tony?
Sorry.
No worries. So yeah, terms corresponds to that array there. And basically we're saying for every value in there, give it the name term. And now inside of this span, we have access to it. So instead of saying primary, we'll just use handlebars and say, well, the term should be spit out right there. And so now, as we push into that array, we're going to see a little pill pop up below the input box. Do you believe me, Tony?
I believe you.
Do you understand kind of what's happening here?
Yeah, so basically it's saying that like for every instance of a new term, we're going to add it to this new array and actually make it appear on the screen.
Yeah, we're not necessarily adding it to the array here, but we're displaying what's in the array here. Okay, so let's see it happen. So Tony, go ahead and add some terms. There it is. Turkey. Who is looking at Craigslist for turkeys? I don't know. Turkey, ham. What about bacon? Provolone? Yeah, I haven't eaten lunch. Okay. Yeah, so it's working. Now, basically, we haven't thought about this. Like, right now, our API only accepts a single search term. I'm curious, like, on Craigslist, can you search for multiple things? Like,
No, I think last time we tried to do that.
Oh,
So like,
like,
let's
with
yeah,
a-
like
with-
let's look up like Moog and then look up radio.
and now this is only things that have the word Moog and radio in them.
Yeah, so obviously this is the truck to get as it has a Moog in it.
But yeah, but we wanted to be able to do like Moog or radio. That doesn't work. Moog or radio. That doesn't work. Moog comma radio. Moo. I'm gonna Google it real quick because there might be a way. Like Craigslist multiple search terms. If not, my thought is we just have different tabs. Like for each one of your search terms, you have a different tab to keep track of the posts for that specific search term. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds good. If
Refining your search, narrowing your search. Oh, it'll work. Yeah. So if you do Moog or radio, that'll give us all posts that have Moog or radio in them. Interesting. So,
Craigslist was better than we thought.
but if we try this on our API, like Moog or radio, will it work in the same way? PA with microphone. Is that the same results? Oh, we're search by newest. What?
I think you're still looking up synth and radio, or is it? No, it's Moog. Never mind.
Shouldn't be. Yeah, I'm curious why PA with microphone is the first result here. Actually, did we do any other refining? So we're saying sort by newest, and Moog or radio is in the search term. Why is it showing so many cars? Oh, because cars have radios. But if we show relevant,
See, this is exactly why you'd want to be able to not have the cars.
right, and you'd be able to switch those out. Here's my thought, Tony. So what we do instead is you have all of your different search terms here, and then you'll have just a different tab for each of the search terms, and each tab will show the results for that specific search term. What do you think?
Okay, so like a little window below Moog and Turkey.
Right, and you'll have a chance to, well, or it might even be like, depending on which search term, maybe you can click on these, and depending on which one you click on, that's actually going to
Open a little window.
well,
below
not
it.
maybe not a window, but it just, whichever one is selected, that shows the results below it. Bob is watching on a drive. Bob, keep your eyes on the road, please. But I guess it is kind of like a podcast. You can't really see the code that we're writing, but you can listen to the topics. But please, Bob, be safe out there.
Yeah, this is like Radio Lab with no budget.
No budget and a guy that doesn't know how to code. So okay, but here's my thought though. Like if we look at Bootstrap, I think they have, or navs tabs. Yeah, we can do. What if we did this? So like each search term looked like a little tab like that.
Yeah, I think that
So
that
let's-
looks good.
Yeah, so let's do this instead. So instead of repeating that span that we had before, wait, code. All right, let's take a quick break. Whew. Yeah, so instead of repeating this span, we're actually going to repeat each of these list items. So we're going to take this v4 and put it on the list item. Oh no. And we can essentially get rid of all the others because we're automatically going to be generating those. Okay. And now instead of saying active, we'll just show the term inside of there. Let me get rid of these. So now if we look at it, so if we add like Moog and synth and radio, each one creates a new tab. And right now actually what's happening is because that has the active class, they showed selected, so we only want them to be selected if that's the one that we've clicked on, but we'll add that functionality. Okay, Tony, are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. Bob clarified he's listening. Thank you, Bob. Like I said, stay safe out there. Okay, so here's what we want to do. When we click on an item here, we want to set that as the active one, and then we want to show the results from the API for that search term below it. Right?
Right.
Brett is watching while having a coffee, I think. I think he's gonna fix his typo maybe. Right, so whichever one is clicked on, we want to set that to the active term. So let's do this. On the anchor tag here. Actually, let's just do it on the whole list item. Do @click. So @click equals, and then inside of there we'll say set active term, or we got to give this a name. Essentially, whichever. Yeah, I think set active term should be good.
Is that a Vue class already?
We are going to create this function essentially.
Oh, okay.
And then invoke it and pass in term, because basically then whichever term gets clicked on, parentheses, that's going to be the term that we show the results for. So like when we're clicking between tabs, we're only going to show the results for the search term of the tab that they clicked on. Right?
Right.
Right. I think you're still with me, Tony. There's a little.
No. Yeah, I'm following. I'm sorry for giving like one word answers.
No. It's good. But I do sense a little hesitation in your voice, but that's okay. Please ask.
Yeah.
Please ask questions if you have them. So now we need this function called set active term. So in ClientJS, in our methods, we're going to create another method, call it set active term. And then that is a function, so it has parentheses, and we're passing in the term, so the parameter is just going to be term. And then, yeah, inside of that function, now essentially we need something on our data that's keeping track of the active term. So on our data, let's create a property called active term, and then like initialize it to null. But before we do that, up here on the data, let's create another property called active term. And then initialize that to null. Yep. And then now inside of this function, we can say this.activeTerm equals term. So we're going to be setting the active term to be the thing that got clicked on. Okay, very good. Simple enough. Now, one thing I want to do is, you'll notice before, like if this thing has the active class, it shows up as like an actual tab, and you'll notice like here, like this one's active, so it's like highlighted, and the others aren't. But if those become active, then they'll become highlighted instead. So I want to add functionality that basically says, if this term is the active term, then add the active class to this anchor tag. Does that make sense, Tony?
Yeah, so basically you can differentiate between what's being selected and what isn't.
Right, so whichever one is the active one, definitely. So here's how we do that with Vue.js. We can use the class binding. So do : class equals, And then in double quotes, and don't put any spaces. I think it'll still work with spaces, but I prefer to do it without spaces. And inside of here, we're going to create an object. So just do curly braces. And the keys on this object are going to be the classes that we want to apply. In this case, the class we want to apply is active. So say active, colon. And we only want to apply this when active search term is equal to term. So the value here will just be active search term, or active term double equals term. Yeah, that's all we need. And I'll get rid of active here. So basically what this is saying is whenever this evaluates to true, so whenever the active term is equal to this specific term, add the active class to this element. So let's watch that in action. So, and we can actually see it happen on the elements. Let's look at this down here. Okay. So if we add like Moog, that gets added there, and that's there. And we can add synth, that also gets added there. Watch what happens. If we click on Moog, it adds the active class to that element, and so then it looks active. But then if we click on synth, it adds the active class to that element and removes it from the other element. Ah? You can unmute your microphone. Ah?
That is amazing.
Yeah, right. And so we can add like any number of things here, and basically each one will update the active term, and that becomes the active one. Right?
Yeah. So like as it's added, it becomes the active one, or if it's clicked on, it becomes active.
Well, we don't have the logic for when it's added. We could do that later on, but right now, like if you just add a bunch, or like if you had, let's say, and let's actually do this so we don't have to keep typing in the input box. Let's initialize just some default terms like Moog, synth, keyboard. And so now when the page loads, those are just there. But if you click on one, then it becomes active. Cool. All right, Tony. I think we're at the point where we actually contact our API. Are you ready?
Let's do it. Let's call the mothership.
Okay. So, and basically we want to do that in this set active term function. Like when you click on a tab, that's when we want to grab the results with that search term. So let's do this. I'm actually just going to store a variable at the top. And I'm going to set this equal to our API URL. I guess the other thing is you probably want to be able to set your location. I think right now we'll just default to Columbus. But we could technically add like another input box where you can set your location. But the API is at localhost 5000 /search /Columbus /search term, right? I think. Yeah. And then you can throw your search term in there. So the idea is right here on here. So when we set the active term, we want to make a request to that API URL with the term on the end of it. And
so this is where we're fetching it.
Right. So on line 16, let's create a variable called just lowercase URL. So say like const URL. And have you used template strings before?
I can't say that I have.
Okay, so here's what we'll do. A template string uses backticks, and basically what it allows us to do is like compose strings together. So instead of having to do like a concatenation of strings, we can create the string without concatenation. So do backticks. That's the key that's right next to the 1 on your keyboard to the left of the 1. Yeah. And inside of here, basically, we want to say the beginning of this string should have the API URL. So do $ curly braces. And inside of the curly braces, put API _ URL. Yes. So
I just want to say I'm glad that you knew that I had no idea what backticks are.
And-
You just assume that like there's some keys on a keyboard that nobody's ever clicked until they knew what it was.
well, yeah, like if you've never clicked that key before, or if you've never used JavaScript, you probably have never clicked that key, because it's also
Right.
the tilde, which isn't that common, like in the English language anyways.
Right. It's like with the little straight line thing that you use for like or statements.
Yeah, the pipe.
Yeah, like the little pipe. I didn't know what that was when I was first like doing some computer stuff, and I was like,
That thing.
I had to like highlight that term in the tutorial. I was like, how do I type this? And someone's like, it's on your keyboard.
Definitely. So basically what this is going to do, it's going to create a string that has this value inside of it. But the reason we're doing this is because we want to put the term on the end of that. So now do $ curlies and put the variable term inside of it. Cool. And this, and like, so right after here, let's just do a console log of the URL so we can actually see it. This would be the same thing as saying API URL plus term, right?
Yeah, but it looks a lot cleaner.
And the main idea is like you could do this with lots of different variables, or like if you're composing a really large string. So yeah, I use these are called template literals.
Do I need to use Cheerio to use that selector?
No, so like this isn't a selector. This is just the syntax for using a template string. And the thing to think about though is because we're on the front end, we don't have access to Cheerio or jQuery because we haven't brought it in. Like this code is running totally separate from the code on our back end.
So let's say I'm doing like a weather app
Mhm.
and I want to do, like my API and the key and then like have the search term, like the same concept. Like I could do this with vanilla JavaScript.
Absolutely, yeah. So this is vanilla JavaScript, and this was introduced in ES 2015. But that's like a perfect use case for it. Like you have a really long URL, you need to put the search term in there, maybe the latitude, longitude, maybe the key, and instead of like concatenating a bunch of things, you can just use this instead.
Yeah, maybe we could do that next week. We could do like a little weather app or something.
I think it'd be fun. Yeah. Okay, so now when we set the active term, we're like creating the URL that we're going to make the request against. So let's watch it happen. So like when we click on Moog, that's the URL that we want to make the request against, right?
Right.
And if we click synth, that's the URL we want to make the request against, or keyword.
So we're not calling all of these URLs at once and like just killing the computer.
Right, and so the idea is like when we click one, that will load the results for that specific tab. Okay, so now let's make the request. Are you ready, Tony?
Yes, let's fetch that bad boy.
Okay. You can leave your mic unmuted just for a second. So do a fetch. So type fetch, pass in the URL as a parameter. And so someone earlier, I think it was Daniel, he asked about Axios. So Axios is a separate library, very similar to like jQuery Ajax. Fetch is built into the browser, so you don't have to bring in any other libraries. There's some quirks to it, but we'll see that. So this is going to make the request to that URL. Then on the right-hand side, do .then, and then invoke that. And the first parameter is going to be response, and we're going to create like a little fat arrow function. So say response fat arrow, and then we'll say response.json invoked. No, just .json.
I heard JSON, and in my mind, I heard parse.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's all good. And so, yeah, the way fetch works is you get back this response object, but you actually have to actually turn it into something useful. And in our case, we're turning the body of the request into JSON. I like to format my code like that. And then we're going to do one more .then. So just do a .then right there.
So .then's basically saying like, all right, we're doing this thing, and literally then, whoops.
Yeah, so this is actually promises, and the idea is when you, I'm gonna take a quick break. When you make a network request, it does not finish immediately. Tony, can you mute your mic? I hear a lot of random noise.
That's my stretching. Sorry.
It's okay. So when you make a network request, it does not finish immediately. And so basically what we're saying is, okay, Mr. Browser, please go request the data from our server, but we're going to wait because it might take a while. It has to go through the tubes of the internet, so wait for it. And then when you get back that response, run this function. And that's basically how promises work, because I couldn't just store this in a variable and then use it immediately afterwards. I need to wait for the network request to finish. So we're saying, okay, when the network request is done, turn this into JSON. And this response.json also actually returns a promise because it doesn't finish immediately. And so we're saying, okay, make the network request. When that is done, turn the response into JSON. When that is done, we will now have access to the JSON. So we can literally call this JSON. So just give it a parameter JSON.
Does 18 need to have a comma or semicolon at the end of it?
No, because we're chaining it. Because basically, if you put a semicolon, that would end it. But what we want is do this, then do this. So do JSON and then do a fat arrow and then give it a function body. And then right there, let's just log JSON. Gotta log the JSON, Tony. Okay. Yeah, so basically, when we click on one of the terms, it's going to set it as active and then make the network request and then log out the results to the console. So let's see what happens. So now, if we click Moog, it should get back the results. Look at that. Or if we click Synth, it should get back the results. Or if we click Keyboard, it should get back the results. Wow, 101.
Yeah, but that's like computer keyboards and everything else.
Yeah, like all kinds of other weird stuff.
Yeah, there's a Casio in there.
Cool. So let's do this. Basically, now that we're getting back the data from the server, we want to show it on the page. So we need to represent it in our data. So let's create another property in our data, call it like active results. And then we'll just initialize that to an empty array. Because like when the page loads, there are no active results. But then when we click on a thing, we want to set the active results to be the results that we just got back. So right inside of here, just say this.activeResults equals JSON.results. Actually, okay, go ahead. Just JSON.results. Because that's the JSON thing is what's actually coming back from our API, and we're giving it an object that has a property called results. Yeah. And I think we'll still just log out JSON right here. Just so we can see what properties are available. Okay, so now we have the active results. Let's show those right below the tabs. So let's use like a card. And we'll show, like, if there's an image, we'll show the first image, and then we'll show the title of the post and some other info below it. Does that sound good, Tony?
Yeah, that looks perfect. We could even, yeah.
Actually, let's look up. There is media list too. Would this make more sense, or do you want to do cards like on Craigslist? We could do like 3 across.
I kind of like the media list, but
Let's see. So
let's do cards. Let's do cards.
do cards. Okay. So basically, we're gonna do a very similar thing like we did with the array of. My internet connection is unstable. Oh no! Okay, I think it's back. Yeah, so basically, just like we repeated, and actually let me clean this up so we can see it a little bit better. Just like we repeated the terms with v4, we can repeat the results with v4. So let's have, first we'll start off with a section. We'll give this a class of row. And then basically we want to create a card for every result. And we'll do like column dash 4, because that would give us 3 across because it's a 12 column grid. Let's not show the image for now, or that, or that. And basically we want to repeat this div for every result in active results. You feeling me, Tony?
Yeah, so it'll just like iterate.
Yeah,
as many as we
so
need.
attempt to write that yourself. So we need a v4. We want it to go over active results, and we're going to call each thing result. Need some help?
Are we calling the one of the things we already made already?
Yeah, so basically, so notice right here, like this v4, terms is exactly equal to terms over here. So on ours, we want to use a v4 on active results.
So am I doing active results in active results?
Well, we can give it whatever name we want. So before we called it term, so I'm thinking we just call it result. So like result in active results. Yeah? Cool. Emmy in the chat says, I have found a very good noob. Tony, you're asking great questions.
Doing my best to be as confused as possible.
Cool. And so by doing this, essentially this div is going to get repeated for every result in the active results. But now we want to show the title of those results like on the card. So right there, we're going to have to use handlebars. What do you think we're going to have to write to show the title of each result?
Are we gonna have to call the whatever what am I trying to say? The Craigslist ID?
Not quite. So, well, I guess I haven't clarified. Result is literally the object that represents each of the search results. So result is going to have a title property, a price property, images property, that kind of thing.
Oh, so it'd just be like result.title for that.
Exactly, and that's going to go here in handlebars, double curly braces. So do your double curlies and just do result.title. I think that's the one, Tony. Let's see what we got. Are you ready? Actually, I'll give you the honors. Click on one of them. Oh,
Mother of God.
that's pretty sweet. And then like if you click synth, there's like quite a few results. Cool. And if this isn't as small, it probably will look a little bit better too. Yeah.
That already looks better than Craigslist. It's so clean.
We can do like keyboard too. Cool. All right, let's show the image on there too. And I guess we'll in a second we'll fix this. Like because notice like when we click this, it takes a second before the results pop up because it's loading. You know.
So we could do like a little loading circle thing.
Yeah, exactly. A little spinny bar. Okay. But let's show the image. But if you remember from our results, and so let's say like if we are searching for Moog. Sometimes there is no images. Well, that's not a good case because there's images for everything. Let's try synth. Yeah, so like in this very first result, images is just an empty array. So basically we only want to show the image if the array length is greater than 0. Make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
All right, so now we can do that using Vue. So we have this image card top, and basically we want the image to just be like result.images at 0, because we're just going to pick off the first image. And this will be result.title. Then the way that we tell Vue that these attributes need to have their values evaluated, use a colon. And basically this says, hey Vue, on this source attribute, I want you to evaluate what is result.images instead of setting it to the string result.images. Okay, so just doing that will actually get us some images on the page, but we do want some custom logic to only show, because like for instance when we go to synth, we see like this broken image, right?
Yeah. So
yeah, so we want like custom logic that's like, if images array is length 0, then let's show like the Craigslist not found image. Let's actually get that real quick, because there is one.
we could just do a picture of Tom from MySpace.
Do you want to do that, Tony?
Like some other time.
Okay. Like this thingy. Let's figure out what the URL to this image is.
It's just some sort of peace sign or something. Do you have just like a square image we could use, like the coding garden logo or something?
We could do that.
Might be easier.
Oh, it's just images/piece. Picture of John Cena is recommended in the chat by Bob.
Do 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 do.
Let's just use this. It's easy enough. Is that okay with you, Tony?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. My internet connection is unstable. Okay, I think it's back up. I hope it's not skipping for those of you watching. Okay, but here's how this is going to work. We can use this other directive, and so I didn't mention it, but v4 is a directive, and there are other built-in directives. So in Vue, there's actually a directive called v-if. So let's do this. We'll say v-if. So we only want to show this image if, and you can say equals, then double quotes. So v-if result.images.length is greater than 0. Yeah, so now this will just behave just like that. So only show this image if there is more than one image in the array. And then you can do this other fancy thing where you just say v-else. And so basically we'll say, like, if there are images, show it. Otherwise, show this image of the peace sign.
So this looks like it's really kind of making that argument of HTML being not a programming language invalid, or?
Well, all of these things are introduced by Vue themselves, and so technically what we're writing here, it looks like HTML, but it's actually like it gets turned into this thing called a render function. So yeah, like Vue basically allows us to put logic in our HTML, but ultimately this gets turned into JavaScript under the hood.
So have you ever seen that Rick and Morty meme where it's like slavery with extra steps?
Sure.
That's what this is. It's JavaScript with extra steps.
In a way, but as you can see, like, we have gotten some stuff done, right? So like it's working. If we do synth, now we should see that peace sign, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, there we go.
And actually, I kind of want to. What do you think? Do you want to put the title on top of the image? Because
we could do that.
Because what I'm seeing though is, like, if an image is like longer, the title gets pushed to the bottom.
Yeah, we could do the title on top, and then price and location below that.
Yeah, images. I'm curious if there's card image top. Is there card image bottom? Let's try it. Oh, I guess we want to do the same thing here. I want to give it that same class. We might just put the card body before the image. We'll see. Yeah, that didn't work. So here's my thought. We just take the card body and put it right there. Let's see what this does. What do you think, Tony?
Looks good. It's kind of weird though with some of the spacing.
Yeah,
But
because
I
some,
think we can.
some of them get pushed all the way to the bottom. You know
Yeah.
what? Let's put it back the way it was. Just images at the top, because then the text appears right below that.
Yeah, I think it's kind of compensating for some of the pictures being longer and shorter, and it's evening all the rows. Cause like,
Right.
yeah,
Okay. Let's show the other things though, because we want to show price and we want to show location. So where should we show those in the view?
I guess just show it like right below it. I mean,
Sure. Yeah. So maybe have like a. Well, we could do this like the card text is the price. Yeah. So Tony, the header we're doing result.title. How do you think we get the price? Yeah. Yeah. Um, and this is another case where you could use like a VF. Like if there is no price, we could say like no price listed.
yeah, we could do that.
Do you want to do that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So I'm gonna let you do this one. It's gonna be very similar to what we did up there. So you can have like a VIF on the p tag that's like VIF result.price, and then you'll have your whoa. What'd you do? I'm gonna do that. Yeah. So yeah, you'll have your VIF there, and then you'll have your VElse and show what you want to show in the case that there is no price. What? No. No, so this is a case where we can actually use like the truthy falsy thing that I was talking about earlier. Like you can think of this if statement being like a real if statement. So like basically if there is any value inside of price, show the price. Otherwise, we'll have a p tag with the same text. So VElse, and then inside of the p tag, just write whatever you want it to say. Like, no price listed, there is no price, call for price, I don't know. Oh wait, I got you though, check it out. I'm doing emoji. Sad face.
Do the second one. That second one. That's one of my favorite emojis.
Okay, so no price, sad. Cool.
Yes, this is what Craigslist is lacking, emojis.
Definitely. And then let's also add, so what are some other things we have? So we have, what, go ahead.
We should have put like a bigger emoji for the missing item.
You mean like in the case where there is no image?
Yeah, like it could just be
A
like
giant,
giant crying emoji.
well, I don't know if we can put an emoji. Well, let's just find the image. Crying emoji. Yeah, which one? This one?
Yeah, the
Well,
second one.
this one's a little bit bigger.
Yeah, that one's perfect.
So instead of the peace sign, we will put that image. Let's see.
There you go. That's good. That's good UI right there if I've ever seen one.
Definitely. Cool. And then like we can look at keyboards. Cool. All right. Last thing before we add, I want to add like a loading spinner bar or whatever. But we want to put the location on there too. I'm gonna look at the card, like what other options we have, because there's card text. Actually, ooh, what about this, Tony? What if the card header had the title, and then inside of it was like the image and the price? Well, what do you think, Tony?
Yeah, I think that would work. it still might be a little weird considering like the images are all different sizes. But yeah, let's give it a give it a go.
Let's see what happens. So like if we throw the div class header there, and then right here we do result.title. Let's just see what that does for us. Interesting.
Looks like you're getting the title and the.
Yeah. Oh, you can actually add it to an H element too. Let's see. Let's do this. Let's pull this out. And we'll say card. Oh, we need to make this back to card image top. That's why. Because card image bottom doesn't exist. So it had like the weird styling on it. And this should be card header, I believe. Yeah, let's see. I'm curious why there's like the spacing around it though. Right? Because the card is there, but the card header is not extending to the full card.
I think that might be something with like the Bootstrap settings. Like we just have to play with it.
Oh, actually, it also could be because we're using like the grid system. So we're saying column 4. Like what happens if I just do a card? Yeah, but that's like one on a line. I think we should actually do this. We'll have like a div inside of a div. So we want to repeat this div, which has a class of column 4, and then that div will have the card inside of it. Like that. Hey. Now they're ugly. Because now
It's not perfect, but I blame the bigger pictures.
Yeah. Did you like it before or now better?
Oh, it's like optometrist, better 1, better 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's fine like this. I think it's just a matter of playing. Like it does what we need it to do. We don't have to sit there.
Okay. And where do you want to put the location? You want to put it like inside of here or in the title?
I think in the title would make more sense. Like you just do like maybe italics. It'll say like the east side or something. I don't think that's an actual part of Columbus, but
I believe the M tag. EM. Oh wait, my caps lock is on. That's why. Is emphasis, or it might even be the I tag. But Tony, what do you think we should add in there to add the?
we're gonna add. Wait, should we add it afterwards?
Oh, where do you want to put it?
Like right after the
title?
Actually, yeah, we can put it before. That would make more sense. It'll say like the neighborhood. I think
Okay.
that's what Craigslist already does. So
Okay.
it'll say like result.location.
Yeah. Well, we called it hood.
Oh yeah.
Oh. It's taking a while now.
Oh, can we make it like not like a bold font, like a lighter?
Yeah, I would say we do like a small. Oh god. Yeah, so we make that small, so that should decrease the font size a little bit.
Yeah.
You like it?
It's looking good.
Cool. I think
Perfect opportunity for another sad emoji if there's no neighborhood.
yeah, so we could do that there actually. Do you want to?
No, I think
Okay.
we'll spare everyone with the emojis.
Okay, cool. Here's one thing I think we can do though. Like the card is there, and that's inside of there, which is taking it full. So I believe if we say that div class card has internet connection is unstable. Oh no. Okay, it's back up. We could make this 100% height, and it'll actually fill the card the full height. Let's do it. So we'll give this a class of, let's just call it result. And then we will add some styles up here. Whoop, 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 whoop. Create a styles file. Give it a class of result. And we want this to have a height of 100%. Hey, so now the card extends the full. What do you think, Tony?
I think it looks good. I think in a perfect world, if like the picture was like like too big, like it would kind of default to a smaller size. But it looks good.
Okay. I mean, we could do something like this. We could say like image max height is
We'll do like
we could do percentage.
400. Yeah, like 300, 30%. Yeah, let's try that.
Oh, that did something really weird. Yeah, did that.
Yeah, that looks perfect. Oh, you got to do the width, I think, as well.
Yeah, so we'll make the width auto. Make this important. So it'll override the existing Bootstrap classes. Bootstrap styles.
Oh God.
It's not setting the width though. Right, because if we look at that, oh, width is auto. Oh, I think because it's a child of a flexbox. Yeah, that's why. Let's not do that. Okay.
The Craigslist wasn't built in a day. Okay.
We'll see how long we've been streaming. Yeah, so we've been streaming for about an hour and 40. I think it's good. We have a client. We can view results. I think maybe the last thing we'll do before we end the stream is add like a nice little loading bar.
Yeah, I think that would be it. And then like, I would say like we're pretty much done. The only thing that we'd have to be able to do is like have some sort of save system, obviously,
Yeah.
or just the simple ability to click. Because if you click on it, it doesn't go to the page, does it?
No, but we can make it do that. Actually,
Yeah,
and
so
actually, that's something we need. We should probably add that to the API because right now we're not putting the actual URL to the post in there, and we probably need that when we scrape. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, and then the loading screen, and then.
All right, let's make our last
it.
two to do. So, we're adding search terms. That's great. We're viewing the results in a list. We're showing all of these. We don't have a date. We're showing all of these things. We don't have a favoriting system. We don't have a hiding system, and then we actually don't have click a result to go to the Craigslist page. I think one also thing we want is
Loading.
yeah. Show loading image or progress bar. Okay. Which do you want to work on first?
Which one do you think would be easier?
I think this should be pretty easy. Show the loading image.
Yeah, let's just do that real quick.
Okay. Let's get a GIF for loading.
It's like a little GIF of like a cat running or something.
Is this an infinite loop? Which one do you want, Tony?
There's like the little cartoon cat. I think will work perfect.
This one? Oh yeah, well. I like it. No, we want to.
Is it? I think that's a cat from Sailor Moon, maybe. I don't know.
No idea.
Somebody in chat might know.
Let's grab the GIF. Yeah, so we'll just show that. So here's what we'll do. So like on our Vue app, we'll have like a loading property and initialize that to false. So create a property called loading and then set it equal to false. Do a comma. Cool. And whenever we, my internet's messing up. Okay, so whenever we click the active search term, this is when we want to set loading to true. So right there you can say this.loading equals true. That's my break timer.
The hype train has no brakes.
Let me, just a second. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
All right, there we go.
Semicolon there. So when we click it, it'll set loading to true, and then in the at the end of the fetch, so like right after we set active results, this is where we'll set loading to false because it's done loading. Remember to do this.loading. Yes, semicolon. Cool. So now we're like setting this value. Now we can use like vif velse. So basically, this is showing. Yeah, this div is showing all of the results. So here's what we'll do. We'll create a div, and we'll give this a class of column 12. So we want to show it all the way across, and we'll say. Well, what do you think, Tony? So, like, well, one thing is, like, inside of here, we're going to have an image, and it's going to have that GIF. But if we want to use vif, what would we say here?
Like, if vif load true.
So, yeah, so we can just do vif loading, because loading is, like, a true-false value.
Right, okay.
So, try it. Yep, and then on line 36, we can just put a velse on that divs, because basically, if it's loading, show the cat running, but if it's not loading, then show the results. Yeah, I think that'll do it. Let's see what happens. So, like, for instance, we click Moog. Maybe it was too fast. Did it refresh? And it could also be
I wonder if it's taking more time to load the GIF than it is to load the results.
It might be. Well, it is good that it's actually hiding the results when we click on it. Let's do this. Let's set just like an artificial timeout. So like right here, I'm going to say set timeout and do like 3 seconds. So like even if the results are done loading, the loading won't get set to false until like 3 seconds later. So the cat GIF is not there. Where is it? It's 0 by 0 pixels. Weird. Let's see if Bootstrap has anything for like images. Image fluid?
Yeah, maybe you don't have to put anything in the column section, like you don't have to say column 12.
Yeah, let's see. Well then, yeah, then if that's the case, then we would, well yeah, so first let's add that class, image fluid. And then let's just put vf loading on the image itself instead of putting it on a div. Nope, that's really lame. I feel like I've had this issue before. Zero by 0 pixels. Let's give it a special class and then style it. Class loading. And then in here we'll say like loading, the loading class The width is 100%, and the height is auto. $720 by 0%. Oh, it could be because it's a flex box.
Can you disable the flex box
Well,
when it displays?
Well, we don't want to because we still want the flex box to be in action for the the divs that are showing below it. Let's see if this fixes it though. Like putting this inside of there and then giving the other thing a class of column 12. Wait, what did I just do? Yeah, VF loading, and then this will be column dash 12. You know what? Let's just put it in a card. Because it could just be a card with just an image.
And it doesn't really matter what the format is.
Mm-hmm. Aligning images. Rounded. MX auto. Well, that would be good because that would put it like right in the center. Or we could do this div class text center. This is only taking long because it's not working, Tony. Like, if the image just showed up, we'd be done by now. Okay. Oh my goodness. This is insane.
This is why Craigslist does.
So that's there, and then let's set the timeout. Well, let's just never set loading to false because we want to get this image to show up. So there's the div class center. There's the image. It's 0 by 0 pixels, but what if we set the height is 100 pixels and the width is 100 pixels? Why is it saying 0 by 0 though? Oh my god. Okay, last try. We put it in a card.
So cards are just like the theme of the day right now.
I guess so. So, yeah, so this is gonna be a card, and then the card image top is just gonna be the loading image. So this, oh god, sorry about that.
Oh god is like just the thing I say all the time when I'm trying to do code. It's my go-to.
Oh man, oh jeez.
Oh jeez,
Oh.
oh don't you know?
Okay, if this doesn't work, then I quit. Oh my god.
There you go.
Okay, well it's there, it's just not visible. Okay. But does that mean it can't access the image? That's definitely a GIF. Why? Oh, do I have like an extension that's blocking it?
It wouldn't make sense if you had an extension blocking the image because we were able to have the peace sign there before, remember?
Yeah.
Unless it's just not working with that website, like we could try like a different GIF location, but I don't know.
So, yeah, so that like shows us all of our images from Craigslist. I don't see the... What the heck? Okay, here's one thing we can do though. We can use the MP4 and then just make like a looping video. Where did it go?
That just sounds like a GIF with extra steps.
Basically. class card body. We'll do a
Magneto is saying in chat to look in network.
to see if it's actually making the request. Oh, well, I just changed that. Let's. Wow. Oh. Well, the video works.
Well, we made a cat running simulator.
Yeah. So typically, I've been able to embed GIFs. Like when you visit the URL, like their server will actually show like stuff around it, but the
Would it be easier if we just save the GIF like locally on the machine?
we could do that too. Let's try that to see it, like just to overrule that.
Because I feel like that would be easier than like linking to a whole other thing.
Sure. So in our client, we're gonna share this. Oh, I don't want to completely share the web page. I just want to save image as in dev, in coding garden, Craigslist Pro client. Let's call this loading. Okay, so that's there. Let's go back to what we had.
Magneto is saying dare you to convert it to a data-URI.
Okay, and I think that would probably work. Okay, let's see it though. So now we have this loading.gif image. Will this work?
Do you still have the thing frozen?
It worked because it's a local file. Okay, maybe that's it. We can't access it. We can't access a GIF thingy over the.
Let's turn off. Let's make that smaller and then turn off the timeout.
Okay.
I think the timeout was set for like permanent.
So I think we can use like a column offset. So like if I do a column 6 and then like a column 6 offset, it'll put that in the center.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's look at the layout. So I guess that's it. You cannot embed Jiffies directly, at least not with that URL, which I've done before, and I don't know why it's not working.
You'll do it later when no one's watching and it'll work perfectly.
Well, I'm giving a meetup talk tonight, and usually I use GIFs in my talk, and I really hope that they're going to work.
You talking with like slides and stuff, right?
Yeah, but I'm gonna create like a sample Vue app, and I want my GIFs to show up. Offsetting columns. Here we go. Yeah, because we want to do something like this. So if I do offset, can I just do offset? Offset -3. Hey, we broke something, but that worked. Why did we break it? Oh, no, we didn't. It was just loading. Right? What do you think, Tony?
Looks good.
Okay, so now we will show the results. And I am still, let's do like, still do a timeout of like 700 milliseconds, just so we always at least see a little bit of running cat. Yay! Cool. That took way longer than it needed.
It's funny, like the parts that you think are gonna be the easiest are never the easiest.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's because the URL just wasn't working. Okay, let's look back at our README. We are now showing a loading image. Okay, mark a result as favorite. Actually, here's what I want to do. Click the results, go to the Craigslist page, because I want to be able to have the URL of the Craigslist post available. And then we might also look at like the API should send back the Craigslist ID or URL. Well, yeah, same thing. But basically, that's what we need now. So in our API, we need a link to that post so we can uniquely identify that post. Oh, that's a good call. Like Wemo was saying, I can look at the network tab to see if the thing coming back from the Jiffy API actually is the content headers are HTML or if they're actually GIF. But we figured it out. We're gonna keep moving because that took way too long. Yeah, so let's look at Craigslist again, and we will figure out how to get the URL. Okay. Are you still there, Tony?
Yeah, so we see result title HDR link. That's our class.
Yeah. Yeah, so like in the scraping, we should be able to use that selector to then grab the href attribute. Let's try it. So I'll copy that for you. And then if we look in our server side, our scraper, yeah, we're grabbing the title there. We're grabbing the hood, and then let's grab the URL. So I'll put that there for you. And actually, it's going to be that. Okay, Tony, make it happen. We want to select the thing inside of the results that has that class. No, you can just use result.find. Decided to type it out instead of copy it. Because of the delay, I'm guessing.
Yeah, the delay makes it really hard to drag.
Yeah.
We'll have to figure that out. I did a Zoom call with some friends doing a little game dev thing, and we didn't really have some of these issues, so I wonder what's going on. But
I don't know. We might also do like a Discord call next time. Like use this for the video sharing, but then Discord for the audio.
Yeah, we'll perfect it.
Yeah.
That way it'll work out better. So when you actually are able to do other people's.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we want to put this in quotes. There you go. Oh no. Single quotes. And then, so we selected the thing, and we want to grab the href attribute. So if you do .attr, and then pass in href as a string. Right. That should grab the href value and store it in the URL. So now, right after line 46, let's pass back the URL as well. And that should send back the URL that we're scraping.
Like, how do we associate that with like the image or even the title for the whole card, I guess?
Because it's already inside of that object. So we're essentially repeating over this array, so we have access to like result.url inside of there. So yeah, so that worked beautifully. Now we can use it on the client side. Please no yawning, Emmy is saying. I am hungry, for one, and I mean, I guess I got a decent amount of sleep last night.
Don't defend the yawning. Just
okay.
Acknowledge it. Apologize.
I apologize, Emmy, and all of you viewers out there watching. I'm sorry for yawning. We're here.
You didn't do a tea thing today.
That's only on Sundays and Thursdays. I still drank some tea today, though. But okay. So now that we have result.url, we can actually basically wrap the title like in an anchor tag. Or where do you want the link to be for going out to Craigslist?
I guess it would make sense to have it be both in the the title and the image.
Okay.
Like and you like have the cursor be a pointer when you're on either, so that you know.
Okay. So let's do this. Yeah, and Wemo's saying every day is tea day. I drink some tea today. I don't know. Sometimes I drink so much caffeine that I just stop
You
it.
shake violently.
No, that 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 it makes me tired instead of the opposite. Um, okay, but here's what we can do. We can actually just wrap this image in an anchor tag. Actually, I think we can wrap. We can do a single anchor tag wrapping both of the images, and it should just work. So here, Tony, create an anchor tag. You know what I mean when I say anchor tag? Yeah. Okay. And give it an href attribute, and this is the href is gonna be equal to result.url. And then make sure you throw the colon instead of href in front of href, because that will bind the URL. Yep. And then one thing we'll do is we'll make it so that the link opens in a new tab instead of the current window. So right after the double quotes, do space target equals, and then inside the double quotes do underscore blank. And that tells the browser to open this link in a new tab or a new window. Cool. And now just take the closing. Actually, I'll do it for you because you got to do some selecting. So I want to take this and put it. Oh god, I'll fix that. But put it after the image, so that it's wrapping that, and we should be able to click the image now. So Moog. Okay. Ayo. What do you think, Tony?
I think it's good. It's real good. Like it's like exactly like how I imagine it working.
Awesome. That's what we do here on Coding Garden. We make dreams come true. Cool. So that's working. Now we want to do a very similar. I'm just gonna, in the interest of time, just copy and paste this for you, Tony. But
Are you gonna put that on the title?
yeah. So basically, we're gonna wrap the title in the anchor tag. This was absolutely easier than a GIF. Even like figuring out what to scrape was easier than making that GIF work. Yeah. So now.
The GIF was probably by far the hardest thing in the whole thing.
Yeah. So now the title will link as well. Very cool. And I kind of like that it's. I don't know.
Blue. I think it's kind of cool.
Here's I want to put the location on a separate line. So that way, yeah, like that.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Look at us, Tony. We're making Craigslist. Okay. That's great. Let's check that off. Click a result to go to the Craigslist page. We updated our API. Mark a result as favorite. This should be easy enough. I think one thing is, and we haven't really talked about this, like we have hard coded the terms, but we
don't need that anymore.
We want to be able to save these inside of the browser. So like every time you go back to this page, your terms that you've saved before are still there.
So would that be saving the state?
Yes, but we don't really have a backend database to save it. So I'm thinking we could just save it in local storage, which is basically your browser can save data for individual websites. And so like we can save the terms, we can save your favorites, and it will only work in that one browser. So like if you look at it on your phone, it won't work. It'll be separate, but it will get you closer to actually saving the data. How does that sound?
It sounds good.
Okay, cool. So let's do this. Every time we add a term, we're going to save the terms array to local storage. So here's what we'll do. So terms will start off as an empty array. And then every time we push into it, then we're going to say this.local storage.terms is just going to be json.stringify this.terms. And the way it works is local storage is like a key value store. So the key is going to be terms, and then the value is going to be the stringified version of that array. So let's watch this happening. So now when the page loads, there are no terms. But if we look in application and then look in local storage, we should be able to see this happening. So if we add the search term Moog and then click add, it's not there. Oh, not this .local storage, sorry, just local storage. That's why. Okay, so now if we do Moog, click add, you'll notice inside the browser that's stored there. And if we also add like synth, now the whole array is being stored inside the browser, right? So what we can do is, so now if I refresh the page, those go away, but that data is still inside of local storage. So what we can do is when the app starts up, grab the values out of local storage and then set them on our data. What do you think, Tony?
So we're basically saying like on the page load any things that are from local storage.
Exactly. So let's do that in a method called mounted, because mounted runs when the component gets mounted, or like when the app gets mounted. So here we can do something like if local storage.terms exists, then we're going to say this.terms is equal to json.parse local storage.terms. Because remember, we stringified it, so now when we want to set it back on terms, we parse it. So now when the page loads, yeah, we automatically get all that stuff. So now we can do, what else do you want to search for, Tony?
Let's look up Turkey again.
Yeah, so that's there, but if I refresh the page, when it loads, now you have all of those there.
I like how it just kind of has a little glitch and you just see like the crying emoji for like a split second.
I think it's because that's like Vue.js has to kick in. There might be a fix to that. I don't know what it is right now. But here's the idea. We're going to have, and I hope you don't mind that I'm like doing all the coding, Tony, but please.
No, by all means. It's like, it's kind of like at the end of it, you're trying to wrap it up.
Yeah, so please ask any and all questions. But here's what we're going to do. So basically, we want to be able to add favorites. So, or actually, which do you want to work on first? Like, mark something as favorite, or just like hide something so you never see it again?
I guess we'll do hide because that seems easier. Just basically be able to click on something and make that.
Yeah, so like basically you're not interested in this $3,500 jump set, so you click hide, and then you will basically never see that post again. Yeah? Yes? You there, Tony?
Oh, I'm sorry. I had the mic off. So, like, when we do that, could we store that to the local storage as well?
That's the idea. So, like, we'll have an array or an object of, like, hidden URLs, and then anytime the results load, we'll compare the result URL with any of them that are in our hidden, and if it's in there, then we won't show it.
So Magneto in chat is saying that we should try doing a vcloak to hide it.
Oh, so, and I think this is a CSS class. Yeah, let's do that. And the idea is, like, when your Vue app is first loading, that class is applied to it, so you won't, and just to demonstrate what's happening, like, when I refresh the page, you'll notice, like, you see, let's see, oh, it's loading too fast now, but you saw, like, the curly braces, and you saw, like, those images that should be hidden. Let's put this in our styles. Thanks, Magneto. It should work.
Is that like kind of like a meta CSS thing?
That's not quite working. Maybe I have to add the vcloak class to my div.
Maybe to the whole app, or
yeah, to like this. Yeah, so add the vcloak directive to main app. Ooh, I think that did it. Right. So, and that makes sense, because the CSS selector, basically, this is select any element that has a vcloak attribute on it, and basically hide it. Yeah, I like it. And that's basically, so like as it's downloading the Vue.js library and everything else like that, it doesn't show the curly braces in the images. Okay. So that's working. Now let's get this this hidden thing going. So basically, just like before, like anything that we're modifying, or we're working with, we want to put that on data. So let's take a quick stretch, quick break. Ooh.
So, just to kind of like, I guess, jump ahead to that, like, do you
Yeah.
want to add, like, whether it's like an emoji or like a symbol, like we'll put like an X in the
Well,
corner of the card?
my thought is we just don't show the card at all.
Well, no, I'm saying like in order to
In order to do
hide
it.
the post.
Yeah, absolutely. So like we could do like an X up here, or just have like a hide, like two buttons, like hide button and a favorite button.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. But the main idea here is we need a place to store it. So I'm gonna say like we'll say like hidden results, and this is just gonna be an object. And then anytime we click the hide button, we're gonna put the URL of the hidden result in here so that we don't show it on any of the results page. Yeah.
And then do you need to do the a method of like hide term?
Exactly. So
Or-
if we look on the Bootstrap docs for a card, it does have like a button area. Well, I guess you could just use just a regular button. I don't know. You tell me, Coney. Like, we could very simply put a little emoji X up at the top. Let's see what this might look like. Like that's there. Do like a span, and inside of there.
Do we need to give it like a little ID or something? Hey,
Well-
look, you had one right there on the your frequently used.
That one.
Yeah,
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 it's-
that's perfect.
Let's see what this looks like. Like that. But let's maybe like.
Yeah.
I think there's like a line right class. Justify text. We can do text right. And will that push the X to the right hand side? No, it doesn't. Curious how that works though. It is on a P tag though.
Yeah, but I think it's still like nested in with that other text stuff.
Because it's all on the H. Yeah, because it's like an
Yeah,
H5.
it's all Put it like above the H5.
Let's do this. Let's make this a div class header,
Okay.
and then make this a H5. Well, this. I think that still works the same way. Let's see. Okay, so it still works, but what if we make this a P tag? All right.
There you go.
that works, but it puts the whole.
It's not perfect.
I wonder if there's a float right. Let's see. Hey. What do you think, Tony?
Looks good.
Okay, so now we want, like, when you click the X, basically hide this thing. So let's do that. So we'll add like a click to the p tag. So at click, we'll say hide result, and then we'll pass in the result. And then we will need and actually if I do that, is there a...
You might have to do the on click or the hover.
Oh no, my streaming has gone down to 0 bits. Okay, it's gone back up. Now it's going back down. Okay, it's back up. Ugh. My streaming software is really misbehaving. Okay, yeah. So we should be able to click that, and then we'll call the hide result method. So now we need a method called hide result in here with the result. And then we'll say basically we want to put the result on this object, and I mean what we could do is just say like this dot hidden results at result.url equals true. And so now on that object there is a property with the URL set to true, and so then later we could check to see if the URL is in here, just like don't show that result at all. However, this is dynamically adding a property which Vue.js doesn't like, so we actually have to do this set, and we want to set the property on hidden results to be result.url to be true. Okay, and so if we actually look at the Vue devtools, we should be able to see this happening. So hidden results is now an empty object, but if I click the X, I might have to like hide and show the, yeah, hidden results. So now hidden results is an object where the properties are the URL and the values are true. So now what we should do is basically on the card say like a v-if not hidden, show the card. So in the HTML, yeah, just like right on this card, we'll do like v-if hidden results at result.url, and if it's not hidden. Okay, so the moment we click the X, it should just disappear, and it does. What do you think, Tony?
Awesome. So, but if we reload the page right now,
they go away. So this is where we would actually store this in local storage also. So let's do that, and it's going to be very similar. So we'll say when the page load. Well, actually, we'll just do it. So like when you hide a result, we will say local storage dot hidden results equals JSON dot stringify. All that weird stuff. We'll say this dot hidden results. So every time you hide a new result, we're going to update the value in local storage. And then when the page loads, we'll do a very similar thing. So if local storage dot hidden results.
and this mounted method, that's something that's specific to Vue.
Exactly, yeah. And the idea is like when the app is mounted, like when the whole library has loaded, when everything is ready to go, this mounted method will get called.
Is that kind of like in jQuery where you do like on document load?
It's very similar.
Or like on document ready?
Very similar, yeah. There's some other implications, but if you're new to Vue, you can think about it like that, definitely. Cool, yeah. So now when the page loads, we will parse them in. So it should work. So why is that image showing so long, actually? Oh. Wait.
You talking about the cat?
Yeah.
Because we set it to.
Oh, because we're setting the results and we're telling it to wait longer. Yeah, let's just not do that. Okay, cool. So cat's there. All right, so let's hide this drum set. And let's actually watch local storage for it to happen. Application? Why is that not working? DevTools? Application? Okay, so when we hide something, it gets stored in there. But now, if I refresh the page and we click on Moog, we don't see that drum set. Are you excited, Tony?
That's really cool.
And like, let's hide that too. And we'll notice that like that was updated. You might be up. Yeah, so it shows two of them in there. But if we refresh the page and we click on that, it's hidden. Cool. Yeah, I think we've made something better than Craigslist.
That's you've summoned Craig.
Okay, yeah, so this is like basic functionality, and now like, so I guess the cool thing is like if I refresh the page, I still have all of my search terms. I can click on my search terms, and
We still got instruments. I think we are in the instrument thing.
like instrument category.
Yeah.
We might be. We can look at our.
Because otherwise there'd probably be like turkey cages or something. Yes, there it is. The
MS
MSA.
Ah,
I think
okay.
That's musical instruments.
That's why before we weren't getting any trucks.
Right.
So they're mentioning in the chat we should first sell this to eBay, absolutely, and second, no soundboard. And you're absolutely right. I think the only issue is it's going to be extremely loud. So this is going to be the only soundboard I play. Please brace your ears. I'm giving you fair warning. Are you ready? Are you ready, Tony?
Yes.
Okay, stop. But we did it, yes. But yeah, I think that was one thing we didn't realize we were doing before. We're only searching the musical instruments. So if we look at the search term on the actual Craigslist for yeah, so if I just
that thing on the left.
if I search everything for sale all, I think it's SSS. So let's do that. Is that okay with you, Tony?
Yes.
And so now on the client side, now we're getting anything that has Moog in the description or...
Yeah, there's like a stick over there.
Yeah, this is a Dodge right tire rod, and I don't care about that, so we're going to hide it. I also don't care about Honda random parts, or that, or this 5-speed, or these for sale trucks. Wow. So this is actually really where this hiding really comes into handy, right? Because like you're getting rid of all these like spam results that you don't really care about, and then now the next time you go back to your page, if you click on Moog, those things will be hidden. Yeah.
There we go.
All right, and Emmy.
Oh wait, we gotta click on Turkey now. we gotta see.
I hope there's nothing vulgar in here.
There you go, turkey cage.
Malaysian saramas for sale. Interesting. That's a type of turkey. Turkey hunts, and I don't care about turkey hunts. I might buy me some turkeys there. 18-quart roaster oven. Ooh, your own personal rotisserie. This is great. Okay.
You get Jordan made from Turkey.
Cool. Yeah, and so Magneto's mentioning in the chat, we have created a low-key moderation tool. Yeah, and it's like a personal moderation, because I mean, I think like one of the main ideas of Craigslist is like anybody can post anything, and that's great. But I mean, I've even found this, like if I'm filtering through all of these results, and especially like if I'm coming back to that same search every day to see if there's anything new, it's full of stuff that I don't actually care about.
And if the post gets re-uploaded, so like for example, if I go to like the Craigslist thing for like musician ads or whatever, and like people are trying to make a band, it will say it'll basically be like you've clicked on this before.
Would that be under jobs or community?
Yeah, community. So like things that I've clicked on days before, like are already like highlighted, like I've clicked on them. So I think Craigslist does keep track. So if we come on to Craigslist, like basically in a week from now, and somebody re-uploads that Moog as a new post, we shouldn't see it again.
Right, and I think as long as it has the same URL.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Then we won't see it, definitely.
Yeah, like if it's like they make a different posting or whatever, then it'll appear again. But like some people just they have like constant thing, like maybe it's like like somebody posting their services or something, and you're tired of seeing this same exact ad.
Right.
Because like some of those people they've been seeking bassists for years. Like there was there was like one band I've seen somewhere I was, and it was like they were looking for a keyboardist for like literally a year. It's wild, but yeah, we did it.
One thing I'm seeing happening though is like, so when we set the active term, we actually also want to set the active results to like an empty array, so they just like clear out while we're doing the request. And then I think it's having an issue that there is a VIF and a VElse on here. Really, we want this, instead of using a VElse here, I'm going to say VIF not loading, and the result is hidden. I think that should fix some small little quirks. Yeah, so now if you click Moog, loading, take a quick break. We're pretty much done with the stream. It was another long one. I did like a 2.5 hour stream last night too. Yeah, and Magneto saying he's avoids VLs because it's a bit problematic. I think like one of the issues was like having a VLs on something and also having a VIF. But yeah, if you're just explicit with your VIF, basically a VIF with the opposite condition of your other VIF, then it works in the same way. And yeah, that works how we want it. So now it hides everything, shows the loading, and then they pop up. Cool. All right, Tony. We didn't add a favorites, but what I was thinking was like honestly, just having these tabs here are like your favorites, right? Like.
Right, and like maybe there could be a simple functionality to where like you could click, like kind of like the way Chrome works or any web browser, like you could exit out of there and like you don't have that tab anymore.
Actually, just because I'm addicted to coding, let's add that real quick. So like basically like a close button on the tag.
Yeah, like literally the same thing that's in the card /
All right,
like in the browser.
Yeah, let's do it. So like on the anchor tag, we are showing the term, but let's also show a thing. And instead of hide result, we'll say remove
term. Yeah,
with term. Let's see what that looks like. That's ugly. Because it's a p tag. Let's make this just a span, so it doesn't do it's not block level. Well, we could put it inside of the anchor tag, but I don't want it to be in the anchor tag. Let's look at it. So it is floating right. Yeah, yeah, if we put it inside the anchor tag, let's see what that does. Oh, and I got rid of that. One of my extensions is just like really, really misbehaving. Okay. Yeah, that could work. I think, what if we add like a little bit of space?
Yeah, there needs to be some breathing room, otherwise you're like, oh, maybe just kind of click. Oh no, I've exited out of it.
But the thing is, since it's float right, and the other thing is like there's like this real usability issue of like, yeah, what if you click on a tab but you actually click the X? What if we just have a button at the top that says remove term? I think I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, just a button on the side.
Or like when like inside of the results area.
Or like a little sub button that just appears below it. You know what I mean? Like it basically like a little.
Like a button right below the tab.
Yeah, like a little bitty bar that just says remove term. Or remove all.
Honestly, I don't like it. I think so. X column 12. Let me just see what this looks like. Because if we do like remove term and give this a class of button danger, and it should only select if there's like a selected one. What do you think of that, Tony?
Yeah.
And so let's say remove selected term, and we'll only show this if there is a selected term, active term. Okay, so when the page loads, there's nothing, but if you click on one, that's there. And we could also give this a little bit of breathing room. We could do margin, I think margin all. Does that do that? Nope. Do margin top 2 and margin bottom 2. Yeah. So you click that, that will remove that selected term. All right. We're almost there. Thanks everyone for tuning in, sticking around. and participating in the chat. It has been a very fun time. Remove term, and then we'll pass in the term. Oh, well, it'll just be active term. Okay, and so then we need a function called remove term that takes in the term. We first need to find it in the array of terms. So this is just going to be this.terms.index of the term. And then we can splice it out. So we can say this.terms.splice the index, splice out one of them. And then we'll set the active results to an empty array and the active term to nothing. So like when you remove one of the tabs, it just disappears and all of its results disappear too. Are you still there, Tony?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hello.
I'm tracking.
Are you tracking? Following me? So you were in the military, right? Did you use the term tracking?
I did, but more for sarcasm.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of feel like most of the things that people say, it's like sarcastic. Like the Army has hua, but the Air Force, like they use, like when I was in tech school, you know, they'd be like, medics, huh? And everybody's just screaming all the time.
Cool. So that worked, but one thing I forgot is it's stored in local storage. So every time we remove it, we also need to update local storage with the thing that got removed. And that should do it.
I guess in a perfect world, it would know, or maybe this would be kind of overkill. But like basically, like let's say I destroyed or like basically got rid of a whole term. Like if I had things that I didn't want in that,
it'll still work that way. That's the beautiful thing, because and I think I get what you're saying. Like if for one specific term you already hid a result, no matter where that result pops up, if it's the same URL, it'll still stay hidden.
Okay, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. Like, so let's say I'm like looking up Moog and Korg and like I hate Casio and Casio's popping up. You know what I mean?
One thing is we're not detecting duplicate terms, but that's okay.
Yeah, so we're missing those drums still.
Yep. And notice how
Nice.
both of these are selected because they're the same term.
Oh, that's really funny.
But yeah, so like every time we remove it though, it is actually removing it from local storage, so when we go back to the page, that term isn't there anymore. We've done it, Tony! We have done it! We did it! This is so much fun. Yeah, anything else to add or say about all of this?
Yeah, I mean, if we want to make this like a regular thing, yeah, I could come up with some different ideas of something we could do next week. You know, like build another Vue app.
It would be fun. Might do like, I think a weather app would be cool, because
We could do something I talked a long time ago. Like Maddie would always ask, like, check the wind, see if I can wear a dress. And so we could make a weather app that recommends like clothing options to wear.
Sure. Or we could just make it really stupid simple, like shouldiwearadress.com. And it's just
No.
like, yeah, it's just in big letters. It's like yes or no.
We could do like by default it goes through and like accesses your location or whatever and like does that.
Definitely. Cool. So I will push this up to GitHub. Any last questions, comments, thoughts in the chat before we sign off? Magneto says Vue is nice. I agree. I love Vue. Tonight I'm doing a talk at the Denver Script meetup on an intro and overview of Vue.js. I might stream it on the channel. I'm going to see if I have a decent enough internet connection there at the place where the meetup is.
Yeah, if you ever come this way, you should try to. I could try to talk to some of the people at the different tech meetups, and you could try to give a talk.
I think it'd be cool, yeah. Sparkles add client. I don't think we've committed any of the client. Yeah. Push it up. Oh, git push origin master. And I think I slacked out the link earlier, but if the link to the code is not in the description, I will definitely post it in the description. If you're in the chat now, you can click that link to see the code that we wrote. Magneto says, awesome stream, keep on coming. Thank you very much. Tomorrow is Code Katas. Yeah, so tomorrow at 8:20 p.m. Mountain Time, I'm going to be doing just solving code katas, kind of like talking through my process.
Oh, Code Wars?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
So if you look at my channel, I actually added on the channel page, you can set a reminder on upcoming live streams. So if you do want to tune in for that thing, the link already exists. You don't have to like wait for it to pop up. But that's tomorrow. I'll do a morning tea and then another stream on Thursday. I haven't decided what my Thursday stream is going to be yet, but I have a lot of suggestions. If you haven't seen it yet, there is poll.coding.garden. You can vote on upcoming video tutorial topics or live stream topics. There are actually quite a few good ones in there, so I might choose from that for the stream that I do on Thursday. It's taking a second. Hello? The server does have to wake up.
We should code like some sort of things so I don't have like a webcam set up, so like in the future like there could be a little image of me that does like a South Park Canadian type thing and just flaps its head when it hears mic input.
That would be an awesome code challenge. Like, yeah, so like analyze the sound wave and then just like move the head up and down.
Yeah, just wiggles. So it's like you're there on the right side and I'm just like on the left side, just like flapping away.
Definitely. It would actually be really cool. Not cool because I love Vue, but I want to do something on React. I have not done a live stream or tutorial on React yet, so that might be what I do Thursday. I don't know. I will update on here. I'll update the topic definitely probably tomorrow to let you know what that's going to be. All right. I believe that's all I have. Do you have anything else to tell the world, Tony?
Oh yeah, there was a thing, shameless plug.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I did, working on some music for a friend's game. It's doing this VR bowling game, and that should be, rough version of that should be going up onto itch.io in the next few days. So probably by next week, we can have a link to that.
Cool, I'll post it in the description whenever it does come out. But you created the sound effects and the music for that game?
Yeah, like it's basically like different sounds of like when the bowling ball hits the lane, when it hits a pin, if a pin hits another pin, and you know, like the different music states. Like there's like a music loop that starts when you're just like playing the game, and then the one that starts like during the different modes.
And I guess it's not up yet. You said it is going to be posted?
Yeah, he didn't put it up because I still have to do there's like the main demo mode, because like all of these are just like one lane. When he starts the demo mode, there's like 4 lanes at once. You can throw like as many bowling balls as you could possibly throw.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Awesome. Well, that's all we have for you. Thanks everyone for tuning in live. Thanks for participating in the chat. As I mentioned, you can check out the channel to see upcoming live streams. Yeah, have a wonderful evening, a wonderful night, a wonderful morning, a wonderful afternoon, wherever you are in the world. See you later.
Is it over?